Hey Faithful, welcome back to the Saloon presented by Cisco. I'm your 49ers team reporter, Briana Jeannel, and in today's episode, we're recapping the 49ers Week 9 win in New York over the Giants with Jack Smith. He did play-by-play for KNBR on that call. Later, we are also going to dive deeper into the matchup and take you into the trenches, seeing everything that went down in exclusive behind the scenes from that win. Later on, I talk with Maurice Jones-Drew to preview the Week 10 matchup against the Rams. First up, here's my conversation with Jack. Jack, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Briana, thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Of course, yeah. It was awesome hearing you on the call this past Sunday. Yeah, the faithful know that Greg Papa is out for the season as he's dealing with his own personal health journey, but this served as an awesome opportunity for you to step in. What have you learned? What has it been like? And how are you, taking the job so far?
It's been great. And first of all, it's an honor. It's a huge honor. Greg Papa is a legend in sports broadcasting in general, and especially here in the Bay Area, and just hoping that he is doing well health-wise, and so excited for him to get back in the booth and for the faithful to hear him again on the mic with Tim Ryan. But it was an honor to step in for him and hopefully just do even half of a job of what he could do. Phenomenal experience to get to go to New Jersey, get to go into New York, get to go to the game and call the game and see such a great Niners win and be on the mic for it. It was really cool.
Exactly. I'm excited to hear Papa back on the call. You did an awesome job this past weekend. You grew up in the Bay Area. Does that mean you were a Niners fan? Tell us the lore there.
A huge Bay Area sports fan. Such an appreciation for all the sports around the city. And I just remember going to middle school and high school and seeing people walking around in Niners jerseys and shirts and the Warriors and the Giants. And it's so cool. And remember going to games at Levi's Stadium growing up, and I don't know if there's another atmosphere that I can compare that at a sporting event that I've been to. It's really cool.
That's awesome. All right, so we gone from the Bay. Let's take us now into New York, technically New Jersey, where MetLife Stadium is. Tell me the environment of MetLife, just because you're talking about Niner fans walking around Levi Stadium in the Bay Area, but they took over MetLife too. So what did you think of the faithful taking over on the East Coast?
They did, and it was really noticeable late in the game. I will say the first Niners offensive drive on the first third down, it got pretty loud New York fan-wise, and they went for it on fourth down. Once they converted on the quarterback sneak on fourth down on their first drive, it was pretty much a Niners crowd the whole rest of the way. And then you hear Kyle Juszczyk touch the ball and the Jews chants come down at MetLife, and you think you're at Levi's Stadium. And then in the fourth quarter, really it was only Niners fans left. It was pretty impressive to see how much the fans traveled. And I walked around Manhattan on Saturday, and I walked past what I was told later was a Bay Area sports bar, and saw a bunch of Niners fans talking about how they were ready to march through Times Square. There had to have been at least 750 or something people there, jerseys and jackets and chains and everything. It was pretty cool.
That's wild. I mean, I feel like I always know how big the faithful fan base is, but I'm continuing to get impressed every single road trip we go on. It doesn't matter how far we go. We could be in Mexico City, and there's going to be fans there. So faithful, you always show up. You always impress. I can't wait to see more of the faithful on future road games. I heard you're also going to Cleveland, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So hopefully the faithful take over Cleveland also. Now, let's dive more into Week 9 and the awesome win that happened in New York. Christian McCaffrey could do it all, right?
Yeah.
He is our top rusher, top receiver. I mean, he could do everything. What stood out about his game on Sunday?
I think the first thing that stood out is that he got to touch the ball more. He had only 8 carries against Houston for 25 yards. That's the fewest he had in a game since 2018 in December against New Orleans. And so because the Niners had the ball more, they got to give him more touches. He is the NFL leader in touches, so he's not struggling for him this season. But that Houston game, they just never had the ball, and so he couldn't touch it. And then you couldn't see his kind of playmaking take over the game. This time they get him 28 touches on the ground and 6 through the air. So he was really all over the field. I thought it was impressive how they pitched it to the outside and he waited for his blocks to set up, and he was able to run outside, run inside. He was open a couple of times in the receiving game when New York, I don't know how you leave him as open as they did a couple times, but the first touchdown and then the long catch and run down the right sideline, he was wide open. Having the ball more and being able to run more plays certainly helped, because you want him to touch the ball about as many times as you can in a game.
Yeah. No, it was really cool watching this game because it felt like, one of the first few games where you actually get to see the character of the 49ers come into play. Because we saw all 3 phases of the game finally work together: offense, defense, special teams. This offense, though, you mentioned, very disciplined. They're waiting for their time and they're waiting for their motion, just like Christian, getting wide open into the end zone. But I also want to give some love to Brian Robinson Jr. He scored his first touchdown as a member of the San Francisco 49ers. What was unique about the way that Kyle Shanahan was able to also use him on the offensive side of the ball?
It's kind of the same answer as Christian. He was on the field, and he had only played 2 snaps in general against Houston, and then on that fourth quarter drive where the Niners ran 8 consecutive run plays. He had 3 straight carries in a row, and he gets them into the red zone, and then it's 1st and 10 from the 18. Why not hand the ball back to him? They had run the ball so well, and they give it to him one more time. He runs somebody over at the 10-yard line, and I think you could tell how confident he was with the ball in his hands by the way that he was running, because it was strong. He looked like a grown man out there. I remember Tim on the radio broadcast calling it 225 pounds of fury coming downhill at you, and that's really what he looked like, because he looked like a man possessed on a couple of those drives. Another big kickoff return for him too. When the Niners have 2 guys in the backfield that you want to get the ball in their hands as many times as possible, I think it means it's a pretty good running back room.
Exactly. I think he deserves an angry run on that one because we were just watching the replay over and over again. Just see him truck a Giants defender was super fun. Now, also finding their way into the end zone was Jauan Jennings, and so we have to give some love to Mac Jones because he was really efficient in this game. 19 of 24 passes, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns. McCaffrey found the end zone twice. Jauan, also Brian Robinson Jr. What have you liked from Mac Jones' game as you were, watching film, getting ready for Sunday? What have you seen from Mac Jones, and how did he really pop off against the Giants? What allowed him to do that?
It's a little bit of a quarterback cliche, but he's kind of like the point guard of the offense. And he was just distributing the ball. He knew where it was supposed to go. He almost his first or second read most times was open, and he was looking in the right spots and finding the right guy, and he was accurate. He started the day 14 of 14. He went into halftime without having thrown an incompletion yet. There was the sack fumble that ended up being a sack fumble, not an interception. So when you start your day 14 for 14, you're being accurate and you're looking in the right spots. And he not only hit the receivers, but he gave them a chance to catch and run as well on the Jauan Jennings touchdown. If that is a little bit behind him, or if it's more on his body, he maybe doesn't run for a touchdown to the pylon, but it was out in front. He caught it in stride. He was able to dive for the end zone and find the touchdown. I think Mac Jones, at his best, is someone that is very accurate in distributing the ball, helping his receivers and running backs out. And I think you got one of the best games that you've seen from Mac Jones this season. As you mentioned, 19 to 24. He just seemed to be on time and on point and on target with all of his throws, and that's what you're looking for a guy like Mac Jones.
Yeah, definitely. And when we were sitting in the press box and that you didn't know if it was an interception or what it was, but they announced in the press box that it was a fumble caught in the air. And we were scratching our heads being like, okay, how does that work? But that was really the only hiccup we saw from Mac Jones' game. But I have to give a lot of credit. I feel like giving out awards here to the offense, but the O-line, who do you think was the X factor to allow Mac Jones, Christian McCaffrey, Brian Robinson Jr. to have such a great game against the Giants?
I think it's hard to pinpoint one guy on the offensive line because it's such a team activity. All 5 have to be working together. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at the first Christian McCaffrey touchdown, he's wide open. He's going to score regardless. But Trent Williams also puts the guy in front of him completely on his back inside the 10-yard line. So Trent played really well. But I think the line in general had a great plan, executed it really well. There wasn't one guy that you look at and say they got beat a ton. And I don't know if there was one guy that you look at and you say they were quite easily the best of the 5. When an offensive line's playing well, it means it's working in tandem, and I think the Niners offensive line certainly was. And then you heard Trent joined us on the radio postgame show, and we told him they had ran the ball 40 times, and he was so excited about that. And you can just tell that in a game where the Niners run the ball that many times and they get to exert their will like that, it fires them up as a group. That's what the offensive line wants to do. They'll pass protect. They'll pass protect for the quarterback, but I think they like it most when they can get downhill at a defense, run the ball over and over and over again, see a guy like Brian Robinson Jr. find the hole that they create, and then run somebody over for more yardage. I think that's what kind of fires up an offensive line.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
And I feel, after a really tough loss like Houston was in Week 8, this Week 9 game was a bounce back game for this team, especially for the energy in the locker room. You mentioned that you just talked to Trent for the post-game show. Tell me what his energy was like. You just talked about him, being so fired up over the run. Just to be able to have a win like this and what it means at this point in the season.
I mean, there was definitely some swagger behind his voice. And he's a guy that he's played the Giants before because he was with the Commanders, and he's the kind of offensive lineman I think that really likes to ground and pound in the run game. And I think that's kind of what it was. It was a get-right game for the Niners on the ground. They had that phenomenal game against Atlanta where they ran the ball, so much so that Christian McCaffrey was the offensive player of the week in the NFL. And then in Houston, they didn't get to run the ball at all. They actually only ran the ball 10 times against Houston, which is tied for the fewest times in any Niners game ever in the history of the franchise, 10 runs. And 2 of those were quarterback scrambles. So they just didn't get downhill at a defense very often. And so not only did they get more opportunities to do that because of the way that the game script played out against New York, but they also did a really good job. And that was the offensive line. That was the tight ends, Kyle Juszczyk as well with some big blocks. And then the running backs finding the holes. They were really gritty as well in terms of fighting for extra yardage, and I think it was a team effort to get right on the ground.
Yeah, if there's anyone who knows how to defend the Niners offense, it might be D'Amico Ryans, so that makes sense. But like you said, an outstanding effort from the Niners offense against the Giants in this one. You mentioned the tight ends. Were you expecting that jet sweep to George Kittle?
No, I think Tim and I in the radio booth were a little thrown off by that one.
Yeah, right?
Maybe it works. Maybe that's a play that's worked in practice. It didn't. I don't think you throw it away from the playbook, though, because if there's a tight end athletic enough to make that work or fight through a couple tackles, it's probably George Kittle. But we'll see if that one pops out again later in the year and has a little more success.
Yeah, even after the game, Kyle was like, I don't know. Yeah. Well, that didn't end up working out. Now let's look at the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, to start, we need to talk about the heartbreaking news of losing rookie first-round pick defensive lineman Mykel Williams. He was diagnosed with a torn ACL and a lateral meniscus injury, officially ending his season. Jack, where do we go from here? With the defensive line really being tested with all these injuries throughout the season, how do you look forward and how do you support the guys in the depth there?
Yeah, I think before looking forward, you have to just say that Mykel Williams had a really promising rookie season, and the pass rush never completely got going for him, but he was really good at stopping the run. He was always in the right place. He was a warrior for the team because everybody else was going down, and as a rookie first-round pick, maybe he was expecting to get some more plays off and have some time to rest, but he had to be out there all the time, and so he was so reliable when he was in there, and I think that first of all, you're hoping that he recovers well and the prayers are up for him, and that the Niners have to be very grateful for what he gave them as a rookie this year and a lot of promising things going in for when he does get healthy again. But in terms of the pass rush, I think you already saw a little bit of that in the game against the Giants. Sam Okuwanu comes back healthy. He has a sack. Clelin Ferrell comes off of the practice squad. He joined the team, immediately gets reactivated, and then he has a sack in the game where he comes all the way from the end zone and he demolished Jackson Dart. That was a hit, and Sam joined us on the post-game show as well and was just he was so loud about how big that hit was from Clelin Ferrell and how big the sack was for the defense. And then Keion White, the trade with the Patriots, as a guy that can play inside or outside and got a lot of snaps and I think is only going to get better as he learns this defense more and more. There's 3 capable pass rushers. You hope Bryce Huff comes back healthy soon, and it seems like maybe that'll be this week for the Rams game. And then you have other rookies on the interior of the defensive line, especially Alfred Collins, the second-round pick that maybe step up into a little bit of a bigger role now if Mykel's off the field. There's a lot of people hurt, and you're not going to get Nick Bosa or Mykel Williams back this year, and that sucks. But there's also a lot of capable guys that I think are in the building that are probably only going to get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, I hear you. And all of the team's hearts go out to Mykel Williams. Kyle said, I just heard from him after on Monday on the call, he mentioned, I believe we've got a hell of a player who's really going to figure this out in the run game and the pass game. The team hurts for him, but he believes that, he won't be able to do it for this half of the season, but we're looking forward to his recovery and welcoming him back next season. So, yep, that's right. Leaning on Clelin, Keion, Bryce Huff, hopefully. There's a lot of guys to lean on, a lot of potential inside the locker room. Let's look a little further at the defense at the secondary. Renato Green had a game, didn't he?
He did.
Tell me what you saw from his performance.
He and all the DBs. I feel like the DBs had a big bounce back week as well. They kind of picked apart a little bit in Houston, especially on 3rd and 4th down. You kind of have to play your best on 3rd down, and I thought that's when the Niners DBs really stood up, and Renato Green maybe most of all. I mean, the Giants were 5 of 12 on 3rd down, but almost all of those came in the 4th quarter. They had a 3rd down conversion on their first drive of the game, and then didn't have another one for the rest of the first half, and didn't have another one until the 4th quarter. And I think that means that there were guys getting pressure up front, but in reality, it was a lot of really sticky coverage. I think Renato Green specifically had maybe his best game of the year, definitely one of his best games of the year, and a lot of highlight plays where you're looking 10, 15, 20 yards down the field. The Niners are sticking in the back pocket of these Giants receivers. They're batting away the ball at the line of scrimmage or at the line to gain. I thought they were phenomenal.
That's right. Renato Green really did have one of his best games of the season. Finished the day with allowing just 6 yards on 3 targets, 2 PBUs, no touchdowns. He earned the highest overall defensive grade on the team, 76.2 for Renato Green. Awesome to hear from him. Now, when you're looking at this defense, there's a lot of young guys who are stepping up no matter what position you're looking at. D-line, linebackers, secondary. Who have you fallen in love with when you watch their game, and who do you think deserves some more respect or maybe some more recognition?
I mean, I think it has to be Tatum Bethune.
Yeah.
I mean, he was all over the field. He, in Houston, set his career high with 14 tackles. And then he did it again this week with 16, and that's the most that any Niner has had since 2015. So
wow.
He was all over the field. The Niners, obviously still without Fred Warner, we're hoping that somebody could step up at linebacker. He has absolutely done that. And for a young guy like that, you have to be in the film room and you have to be confident to be able to pick up 16 tackles. It's not just cleanup duty. Like, he was in the hole, he was running guys down. He clearly is playing with confidence, and maybe that comes from learning from Fred Warner. It's hard to know, but I think he's really stepped up, and when the team has really needed him to, especially against Atlanta, he's been phenomenal. But he's got 10 or more tackles in the last 4 games each, and he's been all over the field.
Shout out Tatum for breaking his own record game after game. I love hearing that. Now, we've talked offense, defense. We have to give love to special teams, especially Eddie Pinheiro. I'm sure Tim Ryan calls him Eddie De Niro. He's also breaking his own records game after game. His consistency. I mean, I feel like that's really what everyone talks about him in the building here. How much have you seen the faithful fandom just love him and take him in?
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, but when a kicker goes 19 for 19, the fans better appreciate it because he's been phenomenal. He barely got it over the crossbar in his 54-yard field goal. It barely got there, but all that matters is that it did. And that was a low line drive that kind of willed its way over the crossbar and counted. But he's 19 of 19 now. He had 2 field goals. He's been phenomenal. And especially with the kicking woes, I would call them, at the beginning of the season where things just weren't going well, to pick up a guy and have him start 19 for 19. I don't know if you've done a podcast since he was named the special teams player of the month for October.
Exactly.
To be able to find somebody like that and have him come in, and he's been huge for them. I think that's massive.
Definitely. Now, with week 9 in the books, we're looking ahead to week 10. Rams are up next. This is going to be a rematch, but it's almost 2 completely different teams that are facing each other coming into this upcoming Sunday. So what do you think the 49ers need to really focus on this week to get ready for a big-time divisional matchup against the Rams?
I think the main thing is that it's at home, which will be huge. Anytime that you can play a division opponent at home, especially at Levi's Stadium, gives you a leg up. And I know there were a lot of Niners fans at SoFi, but it's different when it's at Levi's. It's funny, the Niners are still a really beat-up team, and obviously the injuries continue to pile up. They're probably healthier than when they went into SoFi and played the Rams, and they're not coming off of a short week. So you almost think, like, is this a better Niners team that's facing the Rams? And they already beat them. It's going to be tough to stop Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua and all the weapons that the Rams have offensively. But I think after the week that the Niners just had defensively, they're going to go in it with confidence. And I think you're just looking to, this is a Niners team that's been pretty consistent, but they haven't won back-to-back games since weeks 2 and 3. Now, they haven't lost consecutive games all season, so they don't get too low. They haven't really gotten too high yet this year, so they're looking to kind of buck that trend a little bit. And you know the Rams are going to give them all that they can because they want to avenge that loss from SoFi Stadium. So it's not going to be easy. It should be a phenomenal game, though.
Yeah, exactly. I actually heard from Puka Nacua on a social media clip, and he was talking on his podcast and saying that when it's Rams week, Sean McVay takes it very seriously. No one in the building is allowed to wear red, and it's like game time since Monday, since the week before. So this is going to be a big one, and this rivalry is huge for the Niners and the Rams. But there's been a lot of talk when we're looking at the networks and we're looking at all the big wigs who are talking about the NFL that, the Rams and the Seahawks, they're at the top of the NFC West. The Niners, they've got a pretty good record too. Obviously, a lot of the talk has been about the injuries on the team. But how about you give the faithful some hope on how the Niners can get, to the top of the NFC West and how they're still, we've got some money in this game.
Yeah, I mean, those 2 teams are technically above the Niners in the standings because they both had a bye the week that the Niners lost. So those 3 teams were tied at the top of the standings, and the Niners just had to play an extra game and lost in Houston. So they're realistically up there, and I feel like this Niners team could definitely use a bye and will probably be excited when the bye comes along. If you keep winning your divisional games, it's pretty likely you win the division. And the Niners are already 3-0 in the NFC West. I imagine if they just go 3-0 in the second matchups against all these teams, that they'll probably be at the top of the division standings. So focus on the divisional games. That does start this week. But for, maybe the bigwigs out there in the network are counting out the Niners, but they've also beaten all of these 3 teams already, and they have not lost to a divisional opponent yet this year. So if they do that again, I think they'll be in a pretty good spot.
Exactly. The faithful are the faithful for a reason.
Yep.
Jack, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I'm looking forward to hearing you on the next call.
Briana, thank you so much.
Now, before the game in New York, Kevin Givens joined us right here in the podcast studio to give his thoughts on the matchup. Here's my conversation with Kevin. Hey, Faithful, it's your team reporter, Briana Jeannel, sitting down with Kevin Givens right before the 49ers Week 9 game in New York. Kevin, how are you?
I'm good, Bri. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, excited to chat with you today. Now, first off, I have to say it's great to have you back out there. It was great to see you back out on the field for Sunday Night Football against the Falcons. What was it like just to be back on a football field?
I felt awesome. It definitely sucked getting hurt back in training camp, and I've been fighting the whole time to get back out there, so it felt great.
Yeah, I want to know more about that rehab process. What was the toughest part for that comeback, and what kept you motivated to, stay focused and get back out onto a football field?
I'll probably say the toughest part is probably like mentally, just try to tell myself I can get back out there and I can strike stuff and do all the same stuff I did before I got hurt.
Yeah. So while you were playing, did you feel in your flow state? Did you feel good?
Yeah, I did. Once you get past that first play, everything's ready to go.
Yeah, I love that. You've been a steady presence on this D-line room since 2019, so a few names have stayed, but the group definitely looks different. Literally, two new names now in the mix this week with Cleveland Ferrell and Keion White joining us. What's it like building chemistry with that group?
Oh, Clee been here before, so I already know Clee. And White, he's a new face, but we all know him. We watched a bunch of his tape on, like cross tape from previous opponents and stuff like that. So he's a really good player. We're excited to have him in here. I think he's going to help us a lot.
What do they bring to this D-line? What sort of extra keys or what factors do they bring to help elevate this group?
I feel like they both bring in inside-outside versatility. Clee's more outside guy, but he can go inside, and Keion's inside, but he can rush outside too. So I just think that they're going to help us be able to rotate more and give us the spark that we need.
Now, you mentioned Cleveland's been here before, and I talked to him in the locker room on Wednesday, and he said that he's so happy to be back because it feels like family here.
Yeah.
Does it feel the same for you when you see him back in the locker room? Like, hey, that's family right there.
Yeah, I just saw him. I'm pretty sure I saw him Wednesday morning. He just popped out the parking lot. I was like, oh crap, Cleve's back. I was happy, gave him a hug and everything. So yeah, it's definitely feels good to have him back here. He's like family to us.
And for Keion, it's his first time now in the Bay. Have you chopped it up with him? What does he think about the Bay Area, and how comfortable is he in the room right now?
I haven't really got an extended period of time to talk to him, but he's getting his feet down, trying to get situated, and I think by next week he'll be ready to go.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, we're facing the Giants this week, and they've got a few unfortunate changes to their offense with Cam now out with an injury. But what have you seen from the Giants so far on tape, and what are you expecting from them on Sunday?
Just a lot of explosive plays. They're definitely rallying around their rookie quarterback, Dart, so we just got to try to contain him and just make them one-dimensional.
Yeah, what have you picked up on Dart's game as a rookie, but he's really making a name for himself? What makes him stand out?
He can make every throw, but he can definitely beat you running with the ball too. So you just got to be careful what you do up front and just be smart.
Now, I want to go back to how much you've grown in this 49ers D-line and with this team. What's changed the most about your game since you've joined the team? How has your game planning approach changed, and just how has your game itself changed throughout the 7 years that you've been here?
A lot. Just learning stuff from the people before me, like Eric. Nick's still here, but he's hurt, obviously, as you know. Just not putting yourself in bad positions. Just knowing your opponent, knowing what they're going to do before the play. Just try to be fast out there,
Yeah, and speaking of this Giants matchup, you're actually from New Jersey. I know you weren't raised there, but you were born there. What's it like to go back to your hometown?
It was nice. I was born in Newark, New Jersey. It's definitely gonna be fun going back there. I love the food out there. Definitely don't miss the weather though. I'm definitely a Cali kid now. Got used to being out here for so long. I'm excited to get back out there and see everybody.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we've been very spoiled with the good weather in the Bay Area. It should be pretty cold when we go out to New York this week. Do you have to mentally prepare for that weather as you make your way out to the East Coast?
No, we'll be all right. Once you warm up, and everything will be good after that.
Yeah, it doesn't faze you. Now,
yeah.
The Faithful are hearing from you right before kickoff in Week 9. So do you have a message for the fans before the football team takes the field?
I guess the message will probably be this week is I probably say just keep being faithful with us and just be loud on third down. We'll handle the rest.
Sweet, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great game in New York.
Thank you, Bri.
Now it's time for an exclusive look at the 49ers win in New York with Studio 49's From the Trenches. Right after, I caught up with Brian Robinson Jr. to recap the game, and he shares his thoughts on his first touchdown as a member of the 49ers. Check it all out right here.
New York City. There's the beast in town. I didn't fly all this way for no reason. Came out here to get a dub, and that's all. That's what I'm here for. Let's get it.
About us, man, what we do, man. Go out here and fly around, play fast, be dominant. All right, be physical. All right, let's start the game fast. All right, end the game. All right, end it. All right, slide on the 2-1-2. Slide out.
Hey, today's today, boys. Leave nothing in the tank. Let's go. Dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3. Dominate.
Hey, we here. We in the Big Apple, and we shining. You know, it's nice. It's nice out here. It feels good. You know, it feels like we in Santa Clara. You know, we got the sun out. Hey, everybody out. The hyena activated.
Juice! Let me see some juice! How fine! What's the foul? Every single day you wake up, you have the opportunity to choose. You have a choice in everything you do. How you wake up, what your mindset is, how vile you want to be. Well, their choices. Choose to whoop their Now it's on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Nobody else I'd want to go to war with but you guys today. The great challenge of the day against one of the best D-lines in football, you go take it. When the challenge is great, the reward's even greater, right? Start to finish, don't look back. Every play, one play at a time. All right, on 3, 1, 2, 3.
All right. Y'all know what time it is, man. It's game time. We're gonna turn up, man. Come on, we take away today. Let's go, man. Come on. Let's go, man. Come on. Show up, man. Let me feel you.
Shotgun snap for Jones. He takes it. McCaffrey's wide open. Left flat. The pass floats in. He pulls it in along the left pylon for a 49ers touchdown. The football, back to pass, pressure in his face, throws it out left. Jennings catches, trying to the 10, jumps for the left pylon. He is in for a 49ers touchdown.
start 9 of 10, second down 7. Oh, from behind. Didn't see him coming. Hit on the play by Furl. Cleveland Furl, last year Washington, year before a starter with San Francisco, signed this week, and here he is.
Great stop. Great stop. Great job. Great job. Great job. Good job. Good job. Great job backed up. It's a great job backed up. That boy, celebrate your play. Celebrate as a defense. Go hard.
That's a big boy tackle in that red zone. That's a big boy tackle, boy. Hey, Doodle. Hey, Doodle. I see you, kid. Hey, I see you. Hey.
Third and goal, McCaffrey. With a block by McKivitz and a block in there by Poonen. Touchdown. Another one. Second today for McCaffrey.
And New York got a dub. Going back home, y'all. Dub City! Hey, mama, where you at?
MetLife City, man. Yay! Dubs! Big dubs!
I know you did it, but did it. Good job, man. Good job.
I'm on the field at MetLife Stadium with running back Brian Robinson Jr. right after the Niners win over New York. Brian, you found your way into the end zone today. Your first touchdown as a Niner. Tell me how that run felt.
Man, it was just like a relief. I've just been working since I got here, just working every day just for that moment, for that opportunity, just get in the end zone. And I just felt relieved by just finally crossing that goal line.
That's awesome. Now, this was a bounce-back game. I mean, outstanding effort from all three phases, offense, defense, special teams. What was the energy like on the sideline, and just how did this win feel?
It felt great. The energy was up. You know, we knew what we came all the way out here for. It was a long flight, and, you know, guys woke up with that energy and that juice, and we got it done.
After back-to-back games, you now play at home next week, and it's a big one, a divisional game against the Rams. How are you turning this win into momentum?
This is the perfect, momentum going into a home game, coming off a long trip, on the road against a great team and a great environment. Perfect momentum for us to go home and just, build off of this win, get the rally going.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Joining me on the Saloon now is former All-Pro running back, now an analyst on NFL Network, and he also covers the Rams, Maurice Jones-Drew. Thanks for joining the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Of course, let's get right into this Week 10 Niners-Rams matchup. The NFC West race is tight right now. How big is this game for the 49ers and the Rams?
It's huge. I mean, Seattle's playing awesome right now. So, you're trying to keep up with them. And it's kind of an arms race as everyone is trying to stack victories. It's huge on two fronts. One, as teams that are trying to, get into the playoffs and seeding and home field advantage and all those things. But then two, the rivalry. The rivalry is huge. When I first joined the Rams, it was just kind of like, it worked. It meshed, right? Because I grew up a Raiders fan. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm surrounded by Niner fans, the faithful. So you know how we have our back and forth. I really didn't understand the Rams-Niners rivalry early on, but then to hear how the players talk, how the coaches talk, Sean McVay and Kyle being on the same coaching staff, coming off the same tree as Kyle's dad, Mike, all those things, they play into it, right? And then also the Niners winning what? It was like 6 games in a row or 8 games in a row. And then the Rams, I should have gotten my ring, but the Rams beating the Niners down in SoFi for the NFC Championship. Like, that's all the wins in the NFC West. All that matters. But, yeah, it's cool. But what really matters most is this is a true rivalry. Like, where they don't like each other. You've heard Aaron Donald talk about it. You've heard, obviously, when Debo was there and other guys speak on it. And so that's what makes this matchup so enticing. Both teams are playing really well right now. They're both winning. NFC West is whoever wins this has a great opportunity to win the NFC West. And again, like I said, it's just there's so much at stake, but down to the core of it is just a dislike for each other, which I love. Yeah. I think that's most important.
This rivalry is intense, and so both teams bring the energy. You could feel it heading into every single matchup. But let's get more into what we're going to see on Sunday on the field. Matthew Stafford has been playing great recently. What will the 49ers defense need to do in order to slow him down and slow down that passing game?
Yeah, it's insane how great he's played to this point. He started the season with a back injury. He's been banged up a little bit. They got him healthy. They added Devontae Adams to go with Puka Nacua, and those guys have taken off. And the Rams, as of lately, they've started going in with 13 personnel, getting their tight ends more involved and other receivers more involved, and it's opened up a lot of their passing game down the field. And so, I mean, obviously, the first thing you got to do is get pass rush, right? And the Niners have dealt with a ton of injuries. Obviously, Fred Warner's a big one. Michael Williams is another one. Joey Bosa, not Nick Bosa, excuse me, not Joey. I played against Joey, so it kills me a little bit. But anyways, Nick Bosa, losing though that pass rush always is something that you have a concern with. I know the Niners went and traded for a guy from the Patriots to help out with that. But that's the calling card of the San Francisco 49ers, to stop the run on first and second down, pin their ears back, and go. I remember when it was Dee Ford, Nick Bosa, Buckner, Armstead, and what that looked like, right? And how you had to defend against that. And so that's going to be the concern is, can you rush 4 and get to Matthew Stafford? If you can't, then you're going to have to simulate some type of pressure and get blitzes to try to do it. But when you blitz someone, you're burning a zone. And so how does that work out? What does that look like? And so I know that Robert Saleh is going to have a great plan. There's this, I know we're going to talk about, there's something about Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan that just doesn't sit well with me on these type of weeks. They just do a great job against Sean McVay. And so to me, it's one of those things where, hey, look, whatever it is they figure out, the Rams have to figure out what they're trying to do and make adjustments early and try to flip it and find a way to be successful. They did well in the first game, not so well in the first half. Made some adjustments in the second half, obviously tied the game up, went into OT and lost on a 4th and 1. And so I know talking to Sean about that after the Saints game, that's just something that doesn't sit right with them. So again, like I said, they know that there's going to be something thrown out and they're going to have to make adjustments to. And the way in stopping Matthew Stafford is obviously getting pressure. He's not athletic. He's not a mobile quarterback. So, finding a way to get to him is always going to be easier for the defense.
Yeah, well, let's look at the other sideline with Mac Jones. He's been stepping in for Brock Purdy while he's been out. What's impressed you most about how he's handled this stretch of games?
It's so funny to me, and I'm going to say this, and people are probably not going to like it, but like Brock Purdy is really getting the opportunity to be 115% healthy, right? Which tells me that the Niners are so comfortable with Mac Jones and how he's playing. They're like, Brock, stay over there and make sure that you're all the way healthy. We don't need you to be 98%. We don't need, this guy is doing a great job on what we want to do. And so that's awesome to be able to have a backup like Mac Jones, who was in Jacksonville last year. We've seen him in New England. We've kind of seen him a little bit. But we always knew, and I knew this when he was coming out of the draft, when the Niners drafted Trey Lance, that there were two quarterbacks I thought would make the Niners super dangerous. Justin Fields, because of his athletic ability and his arm strength, and then Mac Jones because of how smart he is and how quickly he gets the ball out and his ability to make those tight windows throws. And so you're seeing that now with Mac Jones is he can recognize the defense. He understands where he wants to go with the ball. He gets the ball out quick, and he's not afraid to take the check down, right? I want to say it was Tonjes the last time that kind of took over the game, and they had a great game plan going forward. And so when you have to worry about Bourne and Tonjes and Jennings, the Rams killer, and all these other guys, and still, I know we'll talk about the main guy later on, but that's a lot of people to have to cover, and that's what you want in this offense. This offense that I played in college, played against it in the league a ton, is about the quarterback just being a point guard and maybe just getting the ball out to the open guy, not trying to make the big-time throw. And so Mac Jones has done an awesome job doing that. He's tough, right? He plays through it. He has the confidence and the swagger that you're looking for. And it seems like this is the guy we saw at Alabama coming out. And so obviously he got with, what we call the QB whisperers. It's either Minnesota, LA, or San Francisco where your quarterback's going to get rehab back. And Mac Jones is doing a great job at that. And Kyle's done an awesome job with him.
Yeah, well, you just set it up. Let's talk about this run game. We're going to be seeing a matchup between two of some of the best running backs in the league right now. Christian McCaffrey ranked 9th in rushing yards and Kyren Williams ranked 11th. What stands out to you about the way McCaffrey is able to just keep this offense going no matter which way you do it? Rushing yards, receiving yards, everything.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Always been a big fan of Christian, even when his days at Stanford and what he was able to do there. So much so that I trained my oldest son, to be like him and not like me, right? I had a really good career and I did some really good things, but the ability for him to play wide receiver changes everything, right? Like the running back position now has become very similar to the tight end position about being a mismatch. And so if Christian McCaffrey can line up on a linebacker, that's a win every day. Right. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to find ways to get him lined up on linebackers so he can run option routes or comebacks or whatever he wants to do. And he can win. Not only that, he can run in between the tackles. He can bounce outside. He has the speed to take it the distance from anywhere on the field. And he's been doing it for a long time. And so that's always a concern. Right. That's always a concern with him, is that the threat of him lining up all over the field keeps defensive coordinators up at night. On the other side, I feel like Kyren has just been getting better and better. This is the kind of the time of the year where Kyren really starts to run. I know, he had the crucial fumble to win the game against the Niners in the first matchup, but as of lately, he's been running very well. He does a great job of being physical. He can catch the ball out of the backfield as well as we've seen in the past. But they utilize him more as their first and second down guy. They want to run him inside, get him into space. He's used his vision a ton. The last couple of weeks, you can see him getting better in that aspect. And like I said, as Kyren goes, the Rams go, right? And so the last, I want to say 2 or 3 years, Kyren's rushed for almost 1,000 yards in like 8 games, right? And it's really the second half of the season as he starts to take off. And so this is going to be two really good matchups. I believe the Rams offensive line is set up to be a little bit better than the Niners right now, but I know Christian has done watching that Giants game, what he had like 100 and 100 almost in a game. So that tells you that Christian can kind of do everything, where Kyren's been more of the steady, just rushing guy. And so I think it's going to be a good battle for sure. If you want to protect Matthew Stafford, like we talked about earlier, you got to have a strong running game.
Yeah, that's right.
Kyren has to protect the football, right? And then he has to break some tackles and go. And it sucks to not see Fred Warner out there, because that was always one of the great battles. But with that means you have an advantage. You have to take advantage of that opportunity.
Definitely a lot of key matchups to watch in this contest. Now, we talked about a little bit when it comes to this rivalry. Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay, they always put on a chess match. What makes this coaching rivalry so good every time these teams meet?
Well, they learned under the same guy. It's like, I don't even know how you would explain it. It's like two students, right? And then they get to be their own professor. And like you're teaching others. And so, but I will say this too. Both teams lose coaches left and right. Both teams have put coaches all over the league. The league is littered with Niners and Ram coaches and as head coaches other places. So your systems are going other places, and yet they still find a way to be consistent. Now, Kyle has done a great job of handling all the injuries that come with the Niners over the last couple of years and keeping them relevant. And then Sean on the other side has done a great job of adding talent and finding a way to keep guys healthy. And so this matchup is funny because they both run the same offense. One just runs out of 21 personnel with Juszczyk, and the other one runs it out of 11 personnel because he has 3 wide receivers. But it's literally the exact same plays over and over. They may be called a little bit different, but if you look at the spots, guys are in certain spots. And so you talk about some crossover. Mike LaFleur, who was with the Niners, right, is now with the Rams. You have both guys were in Washington together. Coaches have all been it's just a mix of offensive coaches everywhere. And so I think that's what makes this rivalry bittersweet. It's just I know what you're going to run. You know what I can run. It's like a boxing match. I want to say I forget who it was, but there was 2 guys that fought twice and it was kind of good. They fought a third time. Once you fight a third time, it's look, we're just fighting now. No one has a there's no scheme or anything in it. We're just throwing punches. And so it's very interesting. And I will say this, Kyle did such a great job of neutralizing Aaron Donald. I want to say over the last 3 or 4 years of his career, with the tosses away, making sure he's out of the game plan, setting him up this way, then moving and so that really put a lot of pressure on the Rams offense to go out and try to score points because they're neutralizing your number one threat on defense. And so it's just great. It's a great chess match. I think there is a very brotherly competitiveness between the two, right? I don't want to say big brother, little brother, maybe twins, right? Where, when you're playing the other, you play much harder against your family than you do your friends. And so that's kind of what you see here. And obviously the handshake is always the best at the end, right? Whoever wins, you can see one smiling, one frowning. So it's always a good thing. I know Kyle loves the Levi South thing. And they play to it and they do a great job with that. But I think the Rams feel, talking to Sean, he feels a certain type of way of coming up here and winning as well, which I want to say they've done the last couple of years. So it's going to be a great, like I said, there's so much into this, so many storylines. I think this is probably the number one game this week, which is important. And like I said, it carries a lot. And to be honest, if I can be frank with you, in order for the Rams to win a Super Bowl, they have to beat the Niners. They can never. It's like history tells you. When they won, I want to say in 2000, was it 2001, the greatest show on turf? They beat the Niners late in the year, and that was kind of what springboarded them going forward. And then obviously, when I got my ring in 2021, which I'll also kindly share with you here in a little bit, give me some time. They beat the Niners in the NFC Championship game. So those things have to happen in order for the Rams to get to go where they got to get to, and hopefully it happens here.
All right, flex on us. But this is a battle of the brothers between Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. Now it's time for a rematch in Week 10, MJD. Let's talk about what's going to be the deciding factor in this game. How about you finish my sentence? The team that will win will be the team that can?
Create turnovers. I think that's the if you look at this history of games, look at the last game. right? The Rams, I don't think the Rams caused a turnover, and the Niners had that fumble late, right? And that literally, it's one turnover that it can be one turnover. And if it's one turnover, 1-0, if it's whatever it may be, that crucial turnover is going to be the thing that changes the game and takes the momentum away from the team. And it's just, it's as much as I want to say, CMC rushing for 100 or Matthew Stafford throwing for 300, whoever turns the ball over is going to, and that's what makes this game so close, is that whoever turns it over, you give that other opportunity that to the other side and they capitalize, game over.
All right, Maurice, this is going to be a fun one. I'm really excited for Week 10 Niners-Rams rematch, this time at Levi Stadium. Maurice, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
No, I can't wait to see you guys there. I'll be driving to the game.
Perfect. We'll see you soon.